Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video, guys. How are you doing today? Today, a very important video. I really like this type of video where we talk about very rare buffs or debuffs in the game and champions to consider building who have these very rare skills, and not a lot have, right? We already know there's over, what, 400, 500, 600 champions in the game, but only a few individuals have these abilities, which I've identified as game changers. I think a lot of you guys would probably agree with me. So today, would you believe it if I told you, maybe some of you would, there's only 8 champions in the game, only 8 in the game that have one of my, if not my favorite buff in the game. I think my favorite buff is block debuffs, but my second favorite buff in the game is actually 25% strengthen. It's a kind of a newer buff. It was added about a year and a half ago to Raid Shadow Legends. But unlike increased defense, first of all, increased defense, they're a dime a dozen, right? There's a lot of increased defense champions in the game. There are even really solid rare champions that have increased defense, the big version on a 3-turn cooldown, right? So increased defense is great. You get 60% of your increase or your increased defense.
On principle, I never say anything that another person is obviously trying to get me to say.
Of your defense increased. And that is the total amount of defense on a champion, as it is with all of these buffs that are cast in a battle. For example, if I go to, let's see, an increased defense champion like Siffy, for example, this number, increased defense 60%, is going to be based off of her defense, right? So 4,397, that's going to be a 60% increase of that number, not this number. If I have a, defense percentage chest plate, that's going to be based off the flat stat, the base stat number, not the total stat number. But any buffs that are cast in the battle are going to be predicated on this main number, which is incredibly more powerful. But what is better than 60% extra defense, especially when there's so many bosses out there, there's so many champions out there, even in the arena, there's so many, between Savage, between Helm Smasher Mastery, Cruel Gear, there's a lot of ignoring defense happening in this game. Even bosses, a ton of them in Doom Tower, even Ice Golem, some of the more traditional bosses have abilities where they're ignoring a huge chunk of your defense. But Strengthen always works. They're not ignoring Strengthen anywhere. And even in the arena, Strengthen is incredibly valuable. What is 25% Strengthen even doing? Well, it's easy, guys. It's simple. 25% Strengthen decreases the recipient's damage taken by 25%. Period. And there's only 8 champions in the game who have that ability to be put on all allies on a non-revival. I say non-revival because there's champions, like there's 2 of them. There's the Tusk, the Rhino, the Hippo. What is that, dude? What animal is it? Horfees?
Africa's most dangerous alpha male. The hippopotamus.
There's Horfees the Skinwalker, who I've actually really wanted to build out. There we go. Really want to build him out because he's a really cool champion. He has Strengthen on the Revival. Same thing with Ursula the Mourner. So these, guy and gal, I think Horfees is a dude, maybe. Either way, they have the Strengthen. It is on all allies for 3 turns, which is great, and it makes amazing revival abilities. However, I'm talking about champions who have that 25% damage mitigation built into their main kit. Now, last but not least, as an honorable mention, in case you don't have, there's only 3 epics in the game that have this ability, okay, guys? In case you don't have any of them or the legendaries, one who's not even available in game right now at the time of this recording, I want to bring your attention to this guy, Feralis Gravedirt.
I hate you all.
So this champion's kind of new, and on his A3, he has a shield for 2 turns and a 15% strengthen on a 3-turn cooldown. That's pretty dang good. So you're still mitigating 15% instead of 25% of all damage taken, plus the shield. I think this guy is a decent champion overall, but if you don't have the Strengthen buff anywhere for any of your squads, you might want to consider investing in Feralis Gravedirt, even if you're just taking him to level 50, just 5 stars, so you have that buff on your squads. It's going to make a big difference in your overall progression. Let's go ahead and start out with the guy who's not available right now. The guy who is not available is Basata. Basata is a Doom Tower Hard Secret Room champion. I think he's the 5th? 6th? I lose count, but he's not available to anybody in the game right now. Just not enough time has passed. However, he does have decreased attack on his A1. Let's quickly go over his kit because this guy is a stud, right? I saw that Hell Hades ranks him the top champion in the game. 5 out of 5 stars, right? That might be in alphabetical order as well, but he does get a perfect rating. He has a strengthen and a continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Also a shield on all allies who are under these debuffs. On his A3, he's attacking all enemies with a stun, a guaranteed stun on a 4-turn cooldown, and turn meter decreased by 30%. And then, whenever an enemy is revived, places a stun on them, and it can't be resisted or blocked. That's pretty insane. That's a really cool, unique passive. But yeah, he's one of the 8 champions with that AoE strengthen, and even better that it is on a 3-turn cooldown, and it comes with a continuous heal. Very, very good champion. I can't wait to give him a shot. We'll go with the next most rare champion you can find with this ability, and that is Lydia the Death Siren. So Lydia has this insane ability. It's really one of the best abilities in the game. It's up there, right? I might put this top 3, top 4, I don't know, 5? Warlord, Valkyrie, I'm talking about champions like that, but really incredible to have weaken, decreased defense, AoE attack, strengthen, increased speed, all on a 3-turn cooldown. That's nuts. It's nuts. Lydia is an incredible champion. You guys are probably already familiar with her, so I'm not going to go over her entire kit, but...
Are you looking at this?
Yeah, Lydia is one of the best champions in the game. Rightfully so. She is the reward for beating all of the faction crypts. Not a lot of people have her. If you do, if you're one of the very lucky ones, congratulations. You know what you have your hands on. A very, very powerful champion, to say the least. Actually, there's another one. You know what? Looking at these champions, they're all hard to get so far, right? Very hard to get. And that trend continues here. Why do I always go Demon Spawn to find Urhos? He's an Undead Horde Ash. Urhos is Soul Cage. He's another Secret Room champion from Doom Tower Hard. He's number 2? Yeah, number 2. Man, this guy is really good as well. He has his passive where he's putting poisons on the bosses. He can solo a lot of Doom Tower bosses or duo. I use him to duo quite a few. Scarab King comes to mind first. Either way, guys, he has Strengthen and Ally Protect on a 3-turn cooldown. So he has that great support mechanic built into his kit as well. I would love to do a guide on this guy, but why am I going to do a guide that, you know, less than 1% of people have? Probably even less than that watching this video right now. I don't know. It's just not what I want my channel to be all about. Instead, I want it to be all about me doing shard opening after shard opening after shard opening, list after list after list, ad nauseum. Actually, forget it. I don't know what I want my channel to be about. This is Ash Roast to Ash. Here we go, guys. Get ready. Strap in, boy. All right, so we have a champion who finally somebody might have. Whirlwind Frost King. This guy is the real deal. Whirlwind Frost King, I did an updated guide on him after his massive buff. Not a lot of people watched it, whatever, but he's insane now, dude. He has one of the best auras for Doom Tower. Defense in Doom Tower by 40%. Not bad at all. Keep in mind that aura does go off your base stats as well, not your total stats, unlike these, you know, these abilities that we're talking about. But he has strengthen and increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. This used to be a 4-turn cooldown. They booked it, or they brought it, excuse me, down to 3. Really good ability. You get increased defense and strengthen on the same ability on 3 turns. And then this new A2 that he has, it used to be, you know, lackluster. Now we get decreased crit damage, decreased accuracy on all enemies, cannot be resisted. Thank you very much, Whirlwind. And increased crit damage on all allies. His damage is based on defense. Whirlwind is really like a Void Legendary now. He was not that good before this buff, but it's a massive buff. They also played around with the Perfect Veil on his A1 and Veil. Now, if damage based on defense, did I mention that? He's a really, really solid champion now, Whirlwind Frost King, and he's one of the 8 champions who has the big version of Strengthen, and on a 3-turn cooldown, and with increased defense. He's the only one who has all that. He's a really good champion. That concludes the legendaries. Now let's talk about the epics here. So epics, we already talked about the 2 revivers, so that only brings us to 3 left. And one of them is the Bommel Solo God. At least we all thought that until we got to more difficult levels of Bommel the Dreadhorn, right? Burn Giri. Burengiri actually is a pretty good support. He has an AoE stun, 60% chance on a 3-turn cooldown. You could do a lot worse than that on an epic champion. On his A1, he has a provoke, and on his A3 is strengthen on all allies for 2 turns. Also placed a shield on all allies with less than 50% HP. Shield based on his on the target, max HP on a 4-turn cooldown. So it is a 4-turn, not a 3-turn cooldown like the legendaries, but still slim pickings here for champions with this 25% strengthen buff. So definitely check out Burengiri if you're looking for, I think with the stun and this Frightful Warcry, his A3 is going to help a lot of players out. Again, even if he's only 5-star, even if he's only level 50 in Faction Wars, once they add that to the game, which ought to be pretty soon. The next one is going to be another insane champion, Achak the Wenderin. I rely on this dude heavily on my free-to-play, believe it or not. He's a spider god, even in the end game because of this passive. He's filling turn meter for each opponent under freeze, and he's healing for each opponent under HP burn. That's incredible passive here. He can heal for just insane amounts. Pair him with a champion like Mordecai against Spider 25 and see how effective he can be. But he also has an AoE freeze, which is nice on his A3 or HP burn, depending on their attack or their defense being higher. And then on his A2, though, it's block debuffs for 1 turn, strengthen for 2 turns on a 4-turn. Now, boy, if I can be really greedy, I wish block debuffs extended for 2 turns or strengthen extended for 3 turns, or the ability was on a 3-turn. But that would probably make him this broken for an epic champion. Either way, he has it. Cannibal Might, 25%. He's one of the 3 epics in the game who have this ability. You can check out his A1 that requires way too many books if you guys want to. All right, the last but not least, guys, is going to be Prundar from the Ogren tribe. So Prundar, Void, I guess in Burengiri and Achak, Force Affinity. So no spirit, no magic options in terms of affinity for strengthen. We have his A1 with decreased speed. I love that. Has a chance of stunning as well if he's counterattacking, which comes into play later. On his A2 and AoE provoke, increased defense on himself on a 3-turn cooldown. And then to strengthen and continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. Not bad. And then we do have that provoke, receives, 20% less damage from enemies under provoke, and then has a 50% chance of counterattacking whenever an enemy under provoke debuff attacks this champion or an ally. So that's a massive chance at going back into that A1 with stuns off of the A1. I heard a lot of players, or I saw a lot of comments, from you guys on these YouTube videos saying, hey, I actually used Prundar. I really like Prundar. He's kind of a sleeper choice. So I want to hear from you guys as well. Even if you're someone who disagrees with that, how do you feel about Prundar? Because he's one of the few champions that has that strengthen. Strengthen can make a massive difference. Again, 25% less damage taken overall. Forget about ignoring defense. Forget about all those things. Really value strengthen buffs, guys. Those are all the champions with it at the time of this recording. Let me know who is your favorite. Do you have any of those champions built? If so, do you use them on a regular basis? Do you also value, like me, the strengthen buff as much as well as I do? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.